Remember that hope is a good thing, Red. Maybe the best of things. And no good thing ever dies. Hello friends, my name is Miranda and welcome to my universe. Today we're going to be talking about Rita Hayworth and Shawshank Redemption by Stephen King. Some disclaimers to put out there in case you were looking for very niche specific people to review this story. I have not seen the movie, The Shawshank Redemption, and therefore I cannot do you any good with comparing the two. Yet. So this review is simply going to be me just talking about this book, the rating I gave it, and why I gave it that rating. So if you want a comparison video, maybe look elsewhere. Otherwise, you've come to the right place. This review will be spoiler free up until a certain point, and then I will give a spoiler warning in which if you don't want to get spoiled, you can quietly exit the video, but feel free to watch as much as you would like. All right, so let's get right on into it. Shawshank Redemption, or technically Rita Hayworth and Shawshank Redemption, is a novella written by Stephen King back in the 1980s. It is about Shawshank Prison, where people are, you know, held in custody. We follow around our main character named Red, who has been in this prison facility for about 30 years. And there's an interesting man named Andy who joins the Shawshank family. This story is from Red's perspective, but he talks about and paints the picture of Andy's life in Shawshank Prison, and very interesting things happen and unfold as we go along. All right, now where do I even begin with this? All you need to know is that I loved this book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I read it quite fast. It's a fairly easy read. What I love about this book is how simple it is, but it is so freaking profound. This is a simple 100 pages that follows around life in prison and institutional syndrome, fear of the unknown versus fear of staying in the same place your entire life. The amount of themes and questions that Stephen King brings up about humanity and how far we will go, not to just protect ourselves, but also to break out of something that we are so used to. It's like, there's so much that goes on. Stephen King's tone and voice, even though I know a lot of people who tell me the same thing. They always tell me, Shawshank Redemption, that was written by Stephen King? Really? And what cracks me up is that people have this idea of Stephen King, right? This idea that he only writes horror. And so I would hope that my channel has revealed to some of you, or will reveal to some of you if you haven't seen some of my other videos, that he writes so much more than that. He is not just a horror author. Yes, that is what he's most known for, but his symbolisms, his literary devices, the way that he uses tone and characterization, it can be applied to so many genres in a beautiful way. And I think that this is one of my favorite novels by him that does not fall under horror. One of the main devices Stephen King uses is foreshadowing. So one of my favorite parts of this story specifically is that you have this idea of what might be happening. Like Red is talking and he says things like, I thought I knew Andy and I thought I knew what he was thinking about, but turns out he was thinking about a lot of other things. And then you're just left to be like, what other things? This is life in prison. What are you doing? You over here polishing your rocks with the little rock blankets that Red gave you? This book is phenomenal. What I love about this story is that there is a very small cast of characters. You really feel like you are a part of the Shawshank family. You feel like you know these people. You cry for these people, weep for them. You feel their pain. You're also very angry for these people. There were times that I was so furious with the things that Red goes through, but specifically Andy. The things that Andy, this man who came to this prison and claims that he's innocent, everything that he has to put up with in prison is awful. It just makes you that much more immersed in the setting, in this prison facility. I loved seeing how developed these characters were and how close I felt to them. even in just a short 100 pages, it really made me introspect a lot. It made me think about a lot of deep questions. The things that I have issues with and what I'm dealing with and struggling with is nothing compared to these people. And yet there is so much respect for all of our individual struggles in life, right? And how even though you are stuck in one place, or you might think that you're stuck in one place, does not mean that you should lose hope. And what does hope look like in certain situations? I loved this book. I could go on and on, which I will continue to talk about, but that will be in the spoilery section. Overall, if you haven't read this novel, if you haven't seen the movie, I would recommend reading the novel first and then watching the movie, because I mean, I don't know, I'm somebody who prescribes to that way of living. Read the book first and then watch the movie after. But if you've seen the movie and you really enjoyed it, but you haven't read this story, I recommend picking this up. It's a short 100 pages. If I didn't have other life things to deal with, I would have finished this book in a mere 2 hours. Do yourself a favor, read this. It is phenomenal. Now for the spoilery discussion, me just ranting about my feelings, honestly. So if you don't want to be spoiled, feel free to click off of this video. I hope you have a wonderful day. Now, let's talk Rita Hayworth. I'm honestly so grateful that I wasn't spoiled about this story. I think that just when it was revealed that he escaped behind the Rita Hayworth poster, I was like, that is crazy. Well, actually it wasn't Rita Hayworth, it was a different woman, but he changed the posters out. And then it makes you think, why did he change the posters out? Where did the other posters go? I have so many questions that I have no answers for, but I loved the symbolism of that, because in the story it actually says that Andy talked about these posters as though they were a portal to a new world. And it literally was. He used these posters as a way to escape. And the fact that he took them down and would whittle away at the wall and then put it back up again. And he would sit in his bed night after night, knowing that he was so close to escape, but also the institutional syndrome of being so used to life in prison that you are almost unfit for the real world, and just how that took just a hold of Andy's mind, even though escape was so close. It was within arm's reach, literally, and he was just so fearful, and it took him, I think the book said 27 years to escape the prison. And just, oh my gosh, this book, like, the fact that it discusses human patience and fear of the unknown, fear of what will life look like, what if I get caught? It just was so beautifully written. Stephen King handled all of these large themes and deep introspective questions very well, and from a very unique perspective, right? He himself has never experienced a life like this, and yet he can create such complex characters that deal with these very real things, and he writes them so beautifully, and I felt so immersed. I know I already talked about that, but I cannot get enough of this story. I felt sucked in. I wanted to just keep reading. Keep reading! Why did I have to go to class? I don't know. Why do I need a degree? Why do I need a degree when I could just read Stephen King all the time? That's why I do YouTube. Please support me. Hit the subscribe button. Honestly, this story just captured my heart. I loved it so much. There's so much, like, I feel like if I was to reread this a second time, I would catch on to things that I did not catch on to at first. And it's only 100 pages. It just blows my mind what Stephen King can do within 100 pages. Everything that he can discuss, all the themes, the symbolisms, characters that he can develop and make the audience attached to them. I think Andy is my favorite character, and I find the ending so satisfying. It's an ending that you can just sit with and just feel so warm and fuzzy, and you don't really get endings like that with Stephen King. It's beautiful that Red was able to be out of prison too and walk a free man, and how there's a potential that he could have gone and worked for Andy, who was working under a whole different identity, and that you don't really know for sure if Red goes to work for Andy, but just the idea that he could, and it is insinuated that he does. It's just the fact that there are these two men who met behind bars, and they both, at the end of this story, walk free and are able to go out and experience so many other things as free men. Honestly, I could cry. Like, there's so much power in this story. I think that's the only way that I could really describe it. There's so much complexity behind it, and the people that you meet in the story and how they have lived their entire lives in prison and in such a dangerous environment that they just adapt to that. And it's amazing. This story is so great. If you've read it, please comment down below your own thoughts and feelings. If you've seen the movie, I would love to hear what you thought of the movie. I plan on watching it very soon. I'm graduating here though soon, like literally next week. So I'll probably watch it within like the next month, but I'm very excited for it. I enjoyed it so much. Please comment, like, subscribe, support me for more bookish content. I love you guys so much. Please be safe, make great choices. And I will see you next time. Bye! I do not have a hole behind that.